Simply successful, right? I mean,
easily for you. Experience with some of my clients that are family businesses, and it is really different because what I have found is they're weighing those family relationships along with the business and the business relationships, and there are some
really those people and the relationships that I've got with those people that is what keeps me going. I love the things that we do and the people we meet.
Mish Hancock, and you are listening to MichMash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Bill Prenatt. He is not your typical consultant. His dynamic, holistic approach combines insights from 40 years of corporate experience with straight shooter came out. I don't know how. Straight shooter. I did practice this, but straight shooter. That was the one I kept messing up on. We'll do it again. Are we ready?
Yep. Here we go.
Hi, this is Mish Hancock, and you are listening to MichMash, a place where I get to talk to the weird, wacky, wonderful people of this world, people I adore and want to know more about. Today, my guest is Bill Prenatt. He is not your typical consultant. His dynamic, holistic approach combines insights from 40 years of corporate experience with straight shooter entrepreneurial thinking. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Mish. How are you?
I am
Great
good.
to see you today.
I am so excited. I have heard wonderful things about you.
Oh, good. All those rumors I'm spreading are getting around.
Well, yeah, you must be really good at branding yourself and such. You know, your real life is probably secret and crazy. No, come on. I have heard only amazing things, and you are an authentic human being, from what I understand. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's easy to be good to everybody for me.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So you like people?
Oh, yeah. I'm stuck with them.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Lifelong. Yeah, well, most of my career was been in the hospitality industry, so I'm accustomed to, being very aware of people and what makes them tick. But I love it. Yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh, and now you help entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I actually, family businesses is what I specialize in now.
Okay.
Which are obviously they're entrepreneurs, but I found that I can make the biggest difference working with families and the craziness that goes on in families.
And I've had experience with some of my clients that are family businesses, and it is really different because what I have found is they're weighing those family relationships along with the business and the business relationships, and there are some real challenges there.
Yeah, a lot of dynamics.
How do you help them?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you have to come to grips with is the fact that you can't fire anybody, which, makes it a very interesting thing. There are a lot of times when the family member might be creating problems in the business, and if it were a regular business, they probably would be terminated or at least warned. But, you have to come to grips with the fact that that's not going to happen, at least not in the companies I work for.
Right.
But I'm just a big problem solver. I like to find out what kind of issues they have. I feel I'm pretty good at meeting my clients where they are. I have programs that I've got from my corporate world, but to me it's all about looking at what issues are they facing today and how can I help them today is how I spend most of my time.
So what do you, in the case of, because I've seen it, the family member that's not pulling their weight, and you can't fire them, do you help them? Do you hope and help kind of thing? Like, is it like, let's get you on a program and let's see if this gets you to the level? Or do they realize, I don't really want to do this? Like, this really isn't what I want to do with my life. I'm doing it because it's the family business, but I'd rather be doing A, B, or C.
Well, one thing I don't do is I don't have some automatic, panacea that I can use with people. Typically, I just ask a lot of good questions and listen. Okay. I know it should be more complicated than that, but I really believe in people, Mish. I believe that I always tell people, I've never had anybody tell me I'd like to fail. Could you help me fail? So people want to succeed. Sometimes they just don't know how.
Gotcha.
And so if you ask a lot of questions and listen, a lot of times they'll answer their own questions.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's easy. I like easy.
That's
simply successful, right?
Easily for you.
I am a good listener, though. I know because of the neuroscience things that I've done that I'm in one of the 12% of people in the population who are good listeners. So I'm blessed with that.
So when you say good listeners, that you're listening and you're understanding and you're making connections in your head of this is what's going on. Like, I mean, it has to be more than listening, right?
I'm getting beyond really what the words say.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Paying attention to like, oh, I like it. We'll talk to that. That's interesting.
Well, I'm through life's lessons I've learned is to pay attention to what people say and what they do. So I'm constantly comparing and contrasting is whether what you say is what you do. And so if you don't behave the way you say you want to behave, I'm going to typically explore that. I'm going to find out more about what's that gap and why do you say this and do that. So I pay a lot of attention to that, behaviors and the words, and see whether or not they are the same.
Well, and then sometimes the people aren't even conscious that that's how they're operating.
Oh, most of the time they're not.
Yeah. It's like you have to help them become aware of, so do you understand you've been saying you're going to do these things, but then you never actually do them, and that's part of the problem, you know?
And I learned that the hard way through life, you know, is in some of my previous experiences where people would say one thing and do another, and it was, you know, as always, it was a good learning lesson. I love to learn, and I'm pretty open about learning, and so I have I kind of benchmark all of those little things that happen to me, and I try to improve upon them.
Right. Gotcha. Oh, well, cool. So Simply Successful, that's what the main thing is, family businesses. But Experts for Entrepreneurs, which is your other gig.
Right.
What's that about?
Well, so actually, I could tell you a little bit about how that happened. So when I left corporate America about 12 years ago, I really struggled the first 2 years. It was really difficult for me I had to realize and come to grips with the fact I didn't know anybody and I was kind of out there.
Yeah.
So Experts for Entrepreneurs was born as a result of my dissatisfaction with the places where you could go and meet people. I just couldn't handle giving out business cards and not building relationships. And so after 2 years, my wife Ann got tired of listening to me bellyache. And so I decided we need to come up with something. So I worked with a colleague of mine called Mason Duchatschek. I don't know if that...
I love and adore Mason and know him quite well. Him and I have done several things together. So awesome. I did not know we had that connection.
Yeah, so Mason and I actually started Experts for Entrepreneurs together.
Okay.
Yeah, and so he eventually moved on to other things. But it is the marketing arm of Simply Successful, if you will.
Okay.
You know, there are 25 companies that are part of it. And so we meet regularly on a monthly basis, but it's really those people and the relationships that I've gotten with those people that is what keeps me going. I love the things that we do and the people we meet, and it's our marketing arm of Simply Successful.
Okay, and you have some amazing people involved with it.
I wouldn't want to point to anyone in particular. Everyone just plays an integral role. It's the most giving, loving group of people that I've ever known.
And you guys meet how often, did you say?
Once a month.
Once a month. All right. But it's a pretty extended amount of time, isn't it?
It's about 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We typically do 3 presentations around Run, Grow, and Live. And that's our standard format.
Okay. All right. So Run, Grow, and Live, is that more of a personal, like has kind of a personal thing to it, or?
Live is around, I mean, obviously running and growing is around your business.
Right.
Living, to me, is about finding balance in it all.
Good.
Right?
Good.
I mean, so, you know, you've got to be successful in your business, but you also have to live a productive life. And so that's typically what the Live presentations are around.
I love it.
Yeah.
And as entrepreneurs, because what we do tends to affect everything.
Oh, yeah.
In our life.
Yeah, it is. You
can't separate it.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, and I would argue, and so would you. You really can't separate what your work is from your life, from your, you know, outside of work life. They all kind of, you know, mingle together and need to all work, you know, for everybody to be happy, right?
Yeah. So funny thing you would say that. So in my corporate world, this is going way, way back. We were told that, you know, you have to leave your personal problems at home. I mean, that was the coaching that they gave us, right?
I remember those days.
Right, yeah.
I remember those days.
And I kept saying to myself, so there must be more than one of me, because there's this one guy that goes to work and there's this other guy that stays home. And so, but that, you know, that was the way they tried to train us, which, as you know, is just
It doesn't
totally
work.
crazy and not accurate.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with Bill.
Is that okay so far?
Yeah, it was good. Only thing is, I would move your chair up a little bit because it was. I was thinking, I wasn't sure if I was going to pick up or not.
Yeah.
Not as loud as it is in your ear.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah,
no, that's okay. It's not your fault.
It's just things we think about. Things I didn't used to think about that Sam has taught me to think about.
How long have you guys worked together?
We're like 2-something years now.
I think it's more than that. I think.
Golly, it's been a while.
And
I first came here, I had done a podcast with, who was I here with?
Kate. Was it with, or John and Kane? Or was
John
it?
and Kane.
Okay.
Right, John Lanius.
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah, and Kane.
And that's where I first, and it was funny because you were the audio engineer, and I was thinking, God, I love that kid. He was awesome. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And well, he laughed at my jokes, so. Yeah,
that helps.
He's awesome.
That makes him way up here. Yeah.
But then, and I remember I kept thinking, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful if I had a podcast? I'd want to do it here. And then a woman was starting a podcast, and she ended up figuring out it wasn't what she wanted to do with her world. But I was crazy thankful to her for getting me started. And Sam was my audio guy, and I was like, I see no reason to change.
Yeah.
I think we've done like over 150 episodes now.
Yeah, we have.
Wow, that is really cool. That's a great.
Which I'm forgetting some of the, like, I can't remember all the names now. Yeah. And I was talking to a guy the other day who said, well, he's like, well, how many podcasts have you done? And I said, over 150. He goes, well, that's why. He was telling me about some study he had seen that in a business, once you get over to 150 employees, that's when you can't remember everyone's name anymore.
I've never heard that before. That makes sense.
So that does make sense. I was like, I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's not going to take me 150.
You'll be less than that.
I struggle at like 9.
At 50 I'm done.
I'm thinking,
at 9 I'm done.
Yeah, I'm thinking 150. No way.
I'm out there like, Kyle, right?
Hey, you.
I'd have to be in some sort of hypnotic state to get to 150. Yeah.
And then I'd be doing all kinds of other weird stuff like mooing like a cow. So it's not worth it.
Then there's that. We remember his name because he's the one that moves like a cow, when he gets uncomfortable and he can't remember your name. Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'll bet you would remember particular ones though that stood out. That you thought, hey, that's true. It was cool to learn that.
Or there's people that you just want to forget.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm gonna totally block you out of my world.
Well, if everybody stood out, it would really be hard. Right?
Exactly.
So,
right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
All right, here we go.
And we are back with Bill Prenatt. So, Bill, tell me, you've been doing this for a long time, working with entrepreneurs and such. Give us some words of wisdom. What are some thoughts? What are some things that you've... Okay, I've got all day. Come on, no. You do have words of wisdom. Give us some thoughts, especially now, with how things are now. And here we are in St. Louis where startups are king. We've got a lot of startups. We have a lot of entrepreneurial energy in this state. Just what are you seeing? What are your top of mind thoughts right now?
Well, I think having a product and a service is really great, but I think most entrepreneurs underestimate the importance of leadership when it comes to getting things done through people. Mm-hmm. And I don't like to not generalize, but in some ways, a lot of entrepreneurs are kind of stuck on what they can do themselves, which really limits their ability to grow. And so I think if there's any one thing, it's how do you lead people? How do you get people to accomplish their potential? To me, that's the important thing. It's kind of a missing ingredient for a lot of entrepreneurs.
I would agree with you wholeheartedly. And I had to learn that lesson because, entrepreneurs, a lot of us, we can do a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
And then we tend to take it all on thinking, and there's that balance of when do you hire someone? When, how do I make all this happen? For me, it was getting a business counselette, as I told you, Josh Levey, that really helped me to take things to that next level. But you do tend to be the person you think, well, I can do that. Well, I can do that. And then when you're working at 10 o'clock at night and you're not getting enough sleep, you're not at the top of your game.
I had that very meeting an hour ago with a client.
So you're not at the top of your game.
It's very
you have
real.
to get help.
Yeah.
Well, and many times it can be created. What I have found is through strategic partnerships with other entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Like you hire me, I hire you. We do this together. That's one of the ways that you can do it. But you need people that can duplicate the things that you don't have time to do or shouldn't do as the business
that you're not
owner.
good at, or and there's a lot I think that's being written more recently about. See, when I was a younger manager, Mich, there was a lot of discussion about work on the things that you have weaknesses, right? So you're not good at that, so you have to get better at that. It seems like today it's more prevalent that what are you really good at, and how can you focus on what you're good at, and surround yourself with people who can do the things that you're not good at, rather than wasting a lot of time and energy trying to be really good at things you probably never will be good at.
Well, or that you just don't like.
Yeah, don't like.
Or
enjoy.
your brain doesn't work. I mean, if you would have said to me, well, Miss, you really need to learn this accounting thing, I can tell you I still wouldn't be good at it.
And you have no intentions of becoming really good.
I can't. It doesn't make any sense to me. Don't make me do accounting, Bill. So I like that it's a good thing that you look at the things you cannot do, hire.
Yes.
Right? Or form a partnership of some sort if that makes sense for your business.
Yeah, and experts or entrepreneurs is that for me. So I think if I could deviate a little bit on that original question. A second thing that I find is hampers a lot is that they're working in what I call random, rather than standardizing things and working with processes. Again, that it kind of comes with the expertise that entrepreneurs have. Is they're really good at that, but I think that if you run out real fast if you're working in random,
right?
And so if you don't process things, if things aren't done in a routine way, you really get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's because you can't remember everything. There's a tipping point where you just cannot remember everything. So if there's not a process in place, balls will be dropped.
Yeah, and so I have a half a dozen routine ways of getting things done that I have found to really be successful, and so I try to share those ideas with, the clients that I work with.
So give us a few ideas.
Probably the best one is to set clear expectations, inspect what you expect, and provide for consequences.
Very good.
Yeah, very simple. But when I work with clients and I look at that they're not getting what they want done, it's usually because they didn't do a good job in one of those three areas, and you have to do all three.
Gotcha.
It doesn't help to do one and not the other. So, and frequently, in my last corporate job, I supervised salespeople, and I realized that people just don't like to have discussions about consequences. They don't like to say, you know what, Mich, if you don't improve this, your job is in jeopardy.
Right.
People don't like to have those conversations, and so consequently, people are uninformed. And I can't tell you the number of times people would go, What? My job's in jeopardy?
How's that?
I didn't know. Really? I didn't realize I was being mediocre. But until we have those words, until we say those words, people don't really perform at their full potential. So that's just a simple example.
Right, but it's important, because the person needs to know that what you're thinking, you are so not pulling your weight. And I need you to pull your weight.
Yeah. And I'm not sure why that all is. I'm sure there's some deep psychological thing behind it. I just know that when I was a sales VP, I had regional managers working for me. Typically, I had to get involved because they were not leveling with their salespeople. They just didn't level with them and let them know, you know what, this is not working, and we're going to terminate you if you can't improve it. So those little things matter a lot.
Well, yeah, but I think it's difficult for people just to tell someone else you're not.
Oh yeah.
You're not what I want you to be.
Yeah.
You're not where you need to be right now.
Yeah.
I think that's a very hard discussion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're doing yourself and that person a disservice.
It's really not fair to them to keep them engaged and involved. That's one of the good things that corporate America taught me, though. I mean, the idea of leveling with people, holding them accountable. That carries over very well into the entrepreneur world, and typically entrepreneurs are not good at that. They are not good at holding people accountable.
Right.
And so, but you bring that from a corporate world because you couldn't make it to any kind of very high level without that. So there are some good things about corporate.
I feel super lucky in the people that work with 100th Monkey. That we all tend to have this issue, all of us. It's like every single one of us have this thing of like totally questioning everything we're doing. Like, are we doing okay? Are we doing okay? Are we doing okay? And so they really are self-managing.
Yes.
And then there's just like a few things I see. I mean, I will just say, hey, just keep an eye on or watch out for, and boom. That is the only conversation I need to have.
Yeah.
And they're like on it.
Yeah.
So I feel, but I also have this thought, and I borrowed this from Netflix, was I only want to hire fully formed adults because I am not a micromanager. I can't micromanage. I can't. I need to pull your weight. I can't do it.
I haven't heard that term used before, fully formed.
Fully formed adult.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Fully
well,
formed?
Basically, you hold yourself accountable.
Oh, okay.
You have a responsibility toward what you're doing, and you're self-managing.
Okay.
And with the world we work in, we don't have an office. We're all out of our homes, and most of the people that work for 100th Monkey are stay-at-home moms. And so it's like this is a gig they can do that is not the MLM approach, that they get to like keep up a really good skill set, and it keeps them engaged in the adult world, which I remember being there. You need that as a mom. And I need them to be fully formed. I'm not going to babysit them.
I think I might steal that from you. If you don't mind.
It's yours. It actually started with Netflix.
Oh, was it Netflix?
Well,
okay.
So I used to always say, I need to find people that are self-managing and hold themselves accountable and are responsible. And then I happened to see I don't know if it was an interview with someone from Netflix, and they were like, yeah, we only will hire fully formed adults. So we don't have to babysit you. If you're going to go on a vacation, when you can go on vacation, when you're not leaving, all fires have been put out. You're not leaving us with a huge mess. You're an adult because you understand, now I can go on vacation. Now I can take a sick or a well day.
Yeah.
I like that. That's how I am. So I expect other people to be that.
We could delete a whole layer of supervision if we all operated under that premise.
But again, I'm a small company. So, right, when you get to 150 people, know there's going to be people that you can't find maybe that many fully formed adults. I don't know, unless you're crazy lucky.
I don't know that we teach people, though, how to become fully formed adults.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah, or worse yet, we might teach them not to become fully formed adults. I'm
no,
not sure.
Actually, my daughter has brought that up before to me. She has said, there are things that I think they need to teach me in school that they are not teaching me. So, she herself has noticed it, I'm like, all right, I'll fill in those blanks. What do we need to know?
That's what she needs, a mother like you.
Oh, I love you. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and we will be right back. Now I'm bringing you back to those corporate days, though.
Okay.
Because I want to know.
Corporate America, yikes.
Corporate days.
Sara Lee and Marriott.
Yeah, those I've got. I have questions around both of those.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Very formidable years.
All right.
Yeah, and I don't feel badly about my corporate days. I mean, I'm glad I'm not there anymore, but
well, same here. I
you
learned a lot.
Right? Who did you work with?
I worked with a place called Annixter. Have you ever heard of this place? So they don't like advertise. At the time I worked there, it was structured cabling systems.
Okay.
So exciting.
Yeah.
And this is why I couldn't stay there. I was their event planner, so I got to do really cool stuff. But they like, you'd be really good at sales. I'm like, if I wasn't selling structured cabling systems, I'd be good at sales. I'm sorry, but I can't I have to fall in love with I can't.
That's not it.
Yeah, it's just not, and they were at the baby steps of getting into networking, because, that was becoming the thing at the time, this whole wireless networking and all that. And that's like where I first learned about I was one day going, what is the cloud? It's so mysterious. So many things happen in the cloud. I want to know what the cloud is. Tell me what the cloud is.
Is that the cloud? I see the cloud.
What's the cloud? It's this magical place where many things happen.
Who came up with that term anyhow? That cloud.
Well, because it is. It's like, what is it? It's kind of cloudy. Yeah, it works. Called cloud.
How did you end up getting into that line of work anyhow?
Well, because of event planning. I did event planning for a really long time.
Okay.
And it's funny because when I thought about social media, when I first started with social media, I felt like, oh, I'm still kind of in it because I'm inviting you to the party. It's all digital. Come to my party on Facebook. Yeah. You know, this is what we're doing. We're going to talk. We're going to have fun with each other. You know, I mean, it was just, it's like that's what I did.
Event planning's a tough gig.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Tough gig. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it is a highly stressful thing.
Yeah, no, and things go wrong, and they should never go wrong.
Too many things you don't have control of is the issue.
Yeah, you can't be a control freak. It's
you have to. The weather you can't control. Plane schedules can't control. People you can't always control. So yeah, it's a very stressful. In fact, it shows up usually in every year they do like the most stressful jobs, and event planning is usually around 6 or 7 behind police work, firemen. I mean, it's that stressful.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Yeah, that's why little things don't stress me out, right? You know, like some people get stressed. I'm like, there's really nothing to worry about.
Yeah, we're not live, are we?
Oh, we're just live on. We're live on here.
Yeah, okay.
So don't talk to people you don't like. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, because I mean, I've used this term before. I have a folder that I call my shit happens folder.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because it does. I mean,
it does.
The sooner you can get it into that folder, the better off you're going to be.
I love it.
Yeah.
I want to see this folder.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Pressman? Yeah. Okay, we're ready.
Here we go.
Okay, we are back with Bill Prenatt. It is question time, sir. I'm going to take you back to corporate days.
Now the fun's over, and now we're going to get serious.
Oh, no. We're totally serious. I mean, are you ready? No. So we're going back to your corporate days. You've talked about it a lot. It obviously, you learned a lot. And I noticed that you were with Marriott. So I want to talk to Marriott, but I also want you to tell us, like, maybe some insider information about hotels that we don't know.
Okay, so I was not in the hotel division, so that I would have to tell you something different.
All right, go.
There's Marriott had a division called contract food service. And so that's food service for like colleges, universities,
really?
long-term care, hospitals. That's the area that I spent a long time in my career. I did not know
that. Yeah. I'm already learning.
Yeah, and I was with a company called Saga, S-A-G-A, that was acquired by Marriott.
Okay.
And so I spent the majority of that time working in that organization. So I have unusual experience from this way, Mish. I have sales, operations, and purchasing experience. And so it's kind of that blend kind of works really well for me, and that came out of that. But Marriott and being in the hospitality industry taught me, but it's about people. It was always about people, and we were always working with relatively uneducated people.
Okay.
Right, and so you were constantly trying to get things done with a limited amount of resources, and with people who were not necessarily well educated. But it served me very well because you had, in order to be successful, you really had to be able to get things done through people. And the interesting thing, you know this because of your former experience, you can't control what the people do.
Right.
I mean, you can't. It's like sometimes they do things that you wonder how they did them. So you couldn't try to control it. You had to build relationships. You had to have trusting relationships with people. And I think that serves me well today.
Well, and be a quick thinker.
Oh, yeah.
You see and you're like, well, how in the heck did that happen?
Oh,
And I think one of the things from event planning that I learned is that you start to see things from lots of different angles.
Yes.
So something happens and everybody's freaking out, and then you have to be the person that goes, okay, stop. All right, listen, we may have to play with the schedule a little bit. It's okay. We're just going to let everybody know this is what we're doing. People will understand, we'll just, and my thing was always, as long as behind the scenes, it's crazy chaos behind the scenes of any event, I tell you.
Yeah. Oh, I can only imagine.
This is a reality show that no one has taken on yet, but they need to. And
maybe you should start that.
Let's start it. Let's start Mish's crazy event experience reality show, because behind the scenes it is very chaotic, but in the front of the room, of the house, it looks good.
So this is where you and I have our experiences really mesh, because I always looked at it as, the swinging door between the kitchen and the front,
exactly.
from the dining area. To me, if people knew sometimes, and I don't mean bad things happen, but crazy things happen behind those swinging
Yeah, if you
doors.
saw behind the scenes, you would be thinking,
Yeah.
how does it look so good out there?
Yeah.
They look like a hot mess over there, you know? But somehow, most of the time, things would come together.
Yeah, I had a chef who threw a 2-inch steam table pan, aluminum steam table pan across the kitchen at his sous chef. So
But
you've
that's a
never
chef
lived
thing.
until you've got through
Chefs
that, right?
have anger issues, I've noticed.
Well, they do tend to be high. They do tend to, yeah, for
Keep
sure.
the chef happy, keep the chef happy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about another one of your corporate experiences is Sara Lee.
Yeah.
And so talk to that, but also, I mean, do you have a favorite Sara Lee item?
Okay, so that was in the distribution arm of Sara Lee. A lot of people don't know that Sara Lee owned food service distribution. So I was in food service, and so it was a natural evolution to go to the Sara Lee division of distribution. So we distributed anywhere from around 10,000 products out of a distribution center. I'm sure you've seen companies like Cisco.
Right. Okay. Sara Lee does that. Again, I'm learning. I did not know that.
They had a division on the East Coast. It was primarily an East Coast division, but this was in Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina. Was where I started with them. So really, we sold the Sara Lee products, but we also sold other competitors' products. But
Gotcha.
the distribution business was a crazy business because it's 24/7.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you had to bring the product in at night. You had to, during the day, and you had to get it out at night. So it was a crazy business, but it was very demanding as well.
So out of all those products, was there something that would pass? You'd be like, I love those cakes, or I love. Did you have a favorite?
If you look at me, I mean, there's not too many cakes that get by me, but I think chocolate. I mean, you can't go wrong with a chocolate Sara Lee cake.
Chocolate Sara Lee.
Yeah. Or those muffins that they have. Those. I mean, so I love all those things.
They have yummy stuff. I really like baked goods. So, and I'm on this like gluten-free thing right now. So now it's like no baked goods for me. But
so
it's
you can't
okay.
have any. You can't. No.
You're not supposed to on the gluten-free. I mean, they make gluten-free baked goods. It's usually like $1,000 for a cake or something. So it's kind of.
They can't possibly taste that good if they're. Huh?
No, yeah. I mean it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not but that's okay because there's candy, so I still get to satisfy.
Oh no, you're okay with that then. Yeah.
Gluten-free candy seems to be in abundance.
Yeah, I didn't know there was such a thing. Yeah.
There's just not gluten in candy. I don't know.
Yeah.
For all I know, someone right now is like, no, you're missing it. Because I keep thinking, like, I was eating Rice Krispie cakes the other day, or the Rice Krispie things, and someone's like, no, those have gluten. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm learning.
Well, we didn't know anything about gluten, right? Until it seems pretty recently, though, that people are a lot more aware of the impact of gluten.
And starting to understand that bodies are not meant to process certain things. And I'm sure they're not supposed to process gummy bears either, but mine...
Well, if you have to make a choice, gummy bears
come on, you know, you put them in front of me. So I bless them and then eat them. All right, so do you yourself have a business mentor or, someone maybe that said something that you feel really puts you on the track you want it to be on, or anything along those lines?
Well, talking about corporate, I was blessed with several people who went on to achieve really great things. I mean, I had gotten, the highest I got to be was a regional vice president, but I had worked for 3 guys who ended up going on to be presidents of divisions. And so they were very good at telling you what you needed to hear. I mean, they were very strict. And as a matter of fact, I remember, like it was yesterday, one of my mentors said, Bill, the problem with you is that you worry too much about people and you need to get more accomplished through them, because I was always treating them the way I would want to be treated. And I had to change that to I have to treat people the way they need to be treated in order to achieve their potential.
Gotcha.
That came about as a result of coaching that I had. So I had several really great people who mentored me.
Nice.
Now
and we need those.
Now today, my mentors are peers. It's more, people like Josh and the other people and experts for entrepreneurs. where we just have an open and honest environment where we're constantly leveling with each other.
Right.
So
Which
it's
is
kind of a
so
different form.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
just such a great
Yeah.
group of people to have around you.
But one of the things I learned a long time ago, you can't ask people for their opinion and then shut it down when they give it to you.
Well, it's
Right.
true though.
Right, yeah.
It's like they give you an opinion, and whether you, I mean, it's something that, you know, even if you're like, wow, I'm not sure, but thank you. Let me marinate it. I marinate things
I
like,
like
let
that.
me marinate that.
Sure.
And because I don't really know what that means for me, but I totally appreciate when, I mean, if you're going to ask somebody for their advice or opinion on something, you have to be open to it.
Yeah.
Why ask?
Yeah. Well, but a lot of people, I'm sure you see this. That comes out of my sales training, though. You know, when it comes to you know, the way we handle objections, and so, you know, how should you handle objection? Well, answer it with a good question. So, if you give me feedback, hopefully I would ask you a question about the feedback rather than, well, let me explain to you why that's not right.
No, you're wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, and don't ever give me feedback like that again.
Yeah, this is just not productive.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, thank you so much. Tell everybody where we can find more about you.
Well, I think the best place they could do is to come to the Business Lodge on the third Wednesday of every month.
And this is De Pere, De Pere, Missouri.
No, in Chesterfield.
Oh, in Chesterfield.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Karen Hoffman's Business Lodge in Chesterfield. And we'll be there at 8:30 till 11 o'clock. And that would be the most fun place they can be my guest if they'll let me know ahead of time. They can just give me a call at 636-484-0208. And we'll be glad to have them come as a guest.
And it's experts for, as in the number four,
yes,
right?
Entrepreneurs.
For entrepreneurs, and you can find out more there's
on
a
the
website.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Bill. This has been
Mish,
wonderful.
enjoyed it.
Hey,
Thank
we're
you.
shaking hands.
What a
We're
great day.
awesome.
What a
All
great
right.
day. Thank you.
Thank you all, everybody out there. You've been listening to MichMash. Go to iTunes and subscribe. Love you all. Have a wonderful day.